south all the way through the San Fernando Valley, picked up the 130 and headed through Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, picked up several other freeways, now 15 north headed toward Victorville. And this person was wanted for attempted murder. We now know. And this person was wanted for attempted murder. And we now know from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department that at some point, this person, the driver of this vehicle, called the dispatch center himself, had an extended conversation with one of the sheriff's deputies. And that's, in fact, when they were able to clarify that this person was wanted in connection to an attempted murder against two, or how this may have been involved, what happened. What we also still don't know here is if there's anybody else in this vehicle. We've not seen any signs of a passenger or anybody in the back seat. We haven't seen the back windows roll down at any point. We just know that police have tried 4 different times to use spike strips to stop this driver, and only one, that very last one, was somewhat successful. But this car has to have driven maybe 20 miles or so, Josh, would you say, since that spike strip attempt?
Yeah, but that persistence by the CHP paying off with that 4th attempt. And I have to imagine Bruce Thomas is with us, that they will continue to try, possibly from a different side of the road, to try and get one of those other tires. This is not something they're going to stop now that it's been successful. Would you agree, Bruce?
No, they're talking about it. Whether they will actually do it as the sun starts to set and gets darker, that becomes some other issues. Or they may just be very content to let this tire deflate totally and come apart. I'm not sure these are run flat tires or what they have, but we definitely saw a good chunk of this tire go off the rim. So it's a matter of waiting to see what happens.
And as the light begins to change, this stretches on into its an hour.
Advantage would be for law enforcement because they have the helicopter with the night sun that will illuminate the area. However, it does become a turn of the pursuit where it becomes a footbed. That becomes part of the advantage to the suspect, and then law enforcement has to flood the area and contain it and control the area where the suspect is.
And if
so
there
it's kind
is
of a half and half at this point.
Understood. And if there is good news, it is that this driver has not really put drivers in danger. This person has stayed relatively, traveling in the 60-some-mile-per-hour range. They've not been erratically driving through traffic. They've not gotten off the freeway at any point and driven through city streets. So as far as that goes for law enforcement, they have been able to maintain safety, at least to the general public, Bruce.
Yeah, very much so. This has been one of our safer, if you can use that word,
Right.
pursuits.
Yeah.
Meaning traffic has been very, very light. They stayed on the freeway. They haven't really endangered too many vehicles or too many uninvolved motorists. So in this case, it's a good thing.
And we can tell you, as far as location goes, we've passed the Cajon Junction, we've passed the Cajon Pass. It does appear that this vehicle is approaching the Victorville area, but traveling at a not
Pretty
as
slow rate of
fast
speed.
as the car was going, because it's lost one of its tires. The next big area that it would approach would be Victorville. Not quite there yet. You can see traffic building on the other side of the freeway, but we have barely seen any vehicles. And I do point out, during that 4th spike strip attempt, it was interesting that there was actually a big rig, that it appeared to us that the car was possibly trying to go around that big rig, but it was clearly actually trying to avoid a spike strip. Not successful. CHP was successful, but clearly the car has 3 appears to be functioning tires at this point. And as Liz pointed out, it's been able to go now for the last 20 plus minutes. We're showing you that scene from earlier again, that successful 4th spike strip attempt. The car, we cannot pull up the exact mile per hour right now, but we can tell you that it's going much slower than it has, and that is because it does not have a inflated
tire, right?
Yeah.
And this car can't be going much more than, Bruce, would you say maybe 45 miles per hour or so, if you had to guess watching this?
Yeah, based on what I'm seeing, I'm thinking maybe in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range.
And,
They definitely slowed down.
and it appears that tire come off, and it appears as though that tire came intact at the moment when that rolled off, right?
The way you see an idea in your mind.
But yet, I think as Air 7 HD pushes into the shot, we can see the rim, but is there some rubber rim?
This car, the person inside, or the situation that led to this that we don't know, and what questions are they asking right now?
And if only we could have the recording of that
Right.
conversation between the
Right.
suspect and Ventura County Dispatch.
Yeah, very much so. We know the car is registered. We know who the registered owner of the vehicle is. As far as you're speaking of, we don't have that available to us, but we do know as much as we can about this vehicle, meaning where does this vehicle live, where does it reside, and who is the registered owner of it.
Because the sheriff's deputies actually spoke to this driver himself, I have to imagine they've pulled up as much information as they can possibly find on this person. Any potential criminal record that may be involved, any traffic violations over time, where this person lives, and they're associated with, right?
Very much so. They are doing what they call a whole workup on this person, running the vehicle, and then going backwards from there. They all have the phone number to this person, so they can reference that phone number and find out also where that phone resides. Is it the same location as the registered owner of the vehicle, or is it a different location? So that's the kind of information that they're getting. But you know, at this point, it's a conjecture as to can they talk to the suspect.
All right. Well, we do now have SkyMap back up, Bruce, and we were pretty close on our estimate there. And in fact, that car's actually going a little slower than we thought, somewhere between 38 and 40 miles per hour. So that car has clearly been damaged and impeded by that tire flying off the vehicle like we saw. That had to have been 15 minutes ago, right, Josh?
Yeah, and we do have an update on the location, still on the 15 freeway north. And
in the Mount Baldy and Redwood area.
Yeah, but I believe still kind of toward Victorville, because it would have to get off on the 18 freeway in order to get to Palmdale, Lancaster area. So since it's still on the 15 north, we can tell you that it is the next area that of Victorville, and of course further drive to Las Vegas,
right,
and other areas. And I'm sure normally we know that we've seen some of that traffic heading back towards LA County, but at this point, especially in this section, we have not seen any traffic at all and barely any other vehicles. And it makes me, I don't know if Air 7 can zoom out at all, but it makes me wonder what's things look like in front of this vehicle if it's shut down, if other cars are even on the road at this point.
And Bruce, I noticed as Evan zooms out a little, I can't tell if it's more vehicles, but we have at least half a dozen CHP vehicles following this car. You can now see as the daylight is changing, it very much just has one headlight that it is using to see. So they are at a disadvantage here. This driver has one headlight heading through a dark mountainous region. They have 3 tires. One has come off the vehicle. And this person has been driving for easily 120 to 140 miles or something at this point.
And we're approaching 30 minutes where this driver's been around 40 miles per hour. So I was thinking ahead a little bit. Okay, right, maybe they've reached Victorville. They're not even there yet. You could see that when you're traveling that speed, right, it's going to take you quite a bit longer.
So Bruce, we were just talking about this. This has to be then advantage law enforcement here at this point. The person's driving with one headlight and 3 tires.
Yeah, the fact that they're driving with one headlight, it's a really unique vehicle now. So law enforcement and the helicopter is going to be able to see that with no issues. The fact that they've lost the tire and are on the rim, I'm surprised, as Josh said, we haven't seen the deflating of whatever's left on that rim and see the sparks from that rim. So it's just a matter of time, and I'm very surprised, but obviously this type of vehicle can sustain that damage.
In the latest update that we do have from our assignment desk is that the car is indeed approaching Victorville. If this car continues on the 15 North, which it appears it will, because we have really not seen it switch freeways too often, after Victorville, it would hit Barstow and then, of course, move into the Fort Irwin Baker area and then continue on possibly. I don't think that it has. Who knows if it has enough gas to even continue on out of the state of California. Quite a ways to go, especially if you're traveling at 40 miles per hour.
Right. And Bruce, given that this has gone on for so long and this driver is clearly disadvantaged at this point, is CHP eager to bring this to an end? Or as you have said several times, are they more than content to just sort of run out the clock on this and allow the driver to come to its own conclusion and this will stop eventually?
Yeah, they would like this to come to an end. There's a drain on resources, even though it's slow speed. It is a pursuit. It's very taxing on the officers involved in this. But the question is, how much further is this vehicle going to go? You know, Josh said, is it going to go all the way to Vegas or maybe to Baker, California, or to wherever it's going north at this point?
And as we say this, we're seeing a little bit of change of pattern here. It appears as though there are several more CHP cars gaining vehicle right now. Appear to be more here.
Meaning they've gone to the edge of one of their patrol areas and they're now into another area, possibly the Victorville units. That's what it looks like. I'm seeing there units that are familiar with that area and do patrol that area on a daily basis. So they're just basically just swapping out to keep fresh units involved.
And I do have an update on our location. This driver not at Victorville yet, actually in the Oak Hills, Hesperia idea, so still a little Hesperia area, so still a little south of Victorville. And we are staying with this pursuit, which is now roughly around, as long as we can, which is roughly around 40 miles per hour, which is why, you know, the CHP continues to keep their distance, but the number of vehicles does seem to be increasing in the last couple minutes, and their posture. I know that Bruce pointed out maybe they're switching out, but it does seem like we have not. It's been quite a bit of time since we have not seen a fifth spike strip attempt at this point. We don't know if that is what they're planning coming up, but we do see that SUV kind of moving up. It's interesting to see if they change at all their tactics.
And Bruce, this is remarkable because on the other direction, on the 15 southbound, you see there's traffic build up there. There are a lot of cars going the other direction, and yet on 15 northbound, there's no one except for this semi vehicle that has been evading law enforcement for 2 hours now.
And I think a lot of our viewers are familiar with that terrible commute from Vegas home on a Sunday to LA County and other parts of Southern California. That's the traffic you're seeing. But as Liz points out, we have not really seen any other vehicles now for the last 20 to 30 minutes besides that big rig on the 15 North.
What's going on there, Bruce? Is law enforcement able to get out there and sort of close some of these entrance ramps, or is this just simply a less popular traffic route?
Yeah, it seems like, maybe a combination of both. People are leaving and coming home from Vegas, and we know that freeway could just be a nightmare going southbound from there into the LA area. But also, it may appear that CHP or other units have closed off freeway on-ramps to control the amount of traffic that is in that area also.
Okay.
We did see that one driver pulled over, it looked like. So obviously it's been going on. That people who are traveling 215 freeway out in the Victorville area, it seems like a lot of drivers are aware of this. I will tell you that it's been quite some time since we've seen crowds on the overpasses, but we haven't seen as many overpasses, and this is not as populated as an area, but we are approaching more populated areas. Hesperia, you can see actually one of the possibly San Bernardino County Sheriff helicopters shining their spotlight now for the first time on that vehicle.
Yeah, Bruce, we talked about that just a few minutes ago about what was going to change when the sun went down, and we're now right at that time now, 7:32. You said the airship would be using its spotlight to light up the suspect, and there it is, right there, exactly what you said. What's happening?
Yeah, the airship is using that night sun to illuminate the suspect vehicle, and also if any vehicles are in that immediate area, to let them know there is some sort of hazard or some sort of situation that they may be coming upon as motorists, so kind of warning them, but also the night sign is used on the suspect vehicle to let them know, hey, you have license sign on, but we're above you and you're not going anywhere. So that may just put a little more pressure on the suspect.
Yeah, I have to wonder that. Is that sort of almost an unintended intimidate or perhaps intended intimidation factor on the driver of, you may have been evading us for this long, but we're still on you.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to get right up on the suspect vehicle to force their hand, so to speak, to cause them to do some dangerous maneuvers and or driving. But they want them as a gentle reminder, we're still here. We're not going anywhere.
It appears as though this driver, it's difficult to tell without any other cars or without the sky map out there. It appears to me as though the driver's picking up a little bit of speed, perhaps not going as slow in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range as the person was going, which is remarkable given that it's probably easily been a half hour since we saw that tire come flying off the car before.
I was actually wondering
Yeah.
if that was a
Yeah, there it
fifth,
is.
if that was a fifth spike strip attempt, because you saw a CHP officer actually in the middle of the center divider there outside of his vehicle, and that's kind of what we've seen from time to time. But it even at one point with that spotlight looked like maybe the windshield was cracked. But we just, again, have seen so many belongings in that front passenger seat that it's really hard to know what exactly is inside that vehicle. I also wanted to ask you, Bruce, let's say this car slowed down, now picking up a little bit, 48 miles per hour. Let's say it slowed down to 20 miles per hour. At what point do CHP vehicles approach this vehicle, try and ram it? Is that something we might see?
Yeah, we may see a pit maneuver. Ideally, this is a great operational area, meaning you have minimal traffic or no traffic. You have a wide open freeway area with no obstructions to the left, no obstructions to the right. And the only hazard would be the center median K rails that are there. So, and it looks like it's a fairly level area. So this would not be a bad situation for CHP to actually try to deploy a pit maneuver.
Yeah, I have to imagine, given that it's getting dark now, and you have people out there commuting home, granted they're going the other direction. You mentioned the drain on resources, that CHP has to be eager to bring this to a conclusion.
Yeah, very much so. You have multiple units that have been involved in this. They all have to, as we say, 1019 or go to the station and report what their involvement was. There is a post-pursuit form and paperwork that has to be filled out and submitted to the state of California to the CHP in this case. So there's a lot of paperwork that's going to take place. That causes to stay out of the field to do this.
This is something that's been an incredible drain on resources, predominantly for the California Highway Patrol. We do see this car picking up just a little bit of speed over what it was a few minutes ago, 48 miles per hour. We did see it going as slow as 38 miles per hour. But this has not been a seriously high-speed pursuit for the duration of the hour and a half or so that we've been watching it.
Yeah, it's I hate to use the word safe, but it's been a very safe pursuit, meaning the vehicle has not done excessive speed, hasn't done dangerous maneuver, really hasn't endangered other drivers, even though the freeway is very void of that. But yeah, it's kind of an ideal situation for a pursuit, if you would say.
And we want to let our audience know that at some point soon Air 7 will run out of fuel. We're approaching 2 hours that we have been on coverage with you, taking you from Ventura County to LA County, now San Bernardino County, approaching the Victorville area. And, at some point we will have to go and get fuel, but we, of course, will stay on as long as we can, because at this point, attempted murder suspect, as Bruce said, CHP not going to back off this. Because of the dangers that this person does pose, they will stay on this pursuit, and we, of course, will do our best to monitor it as well.
And Bruce, we still don't know if the person inside the vehicle is armed. That's got to be one of the biggest questions that law enforcement is considering as this perhaps comes to an end here. You have covered a lot of police pursuits with us. Is this one of the longer ones that you can think of?
It actually is. I mean, there have been a couple that have gone all the way down to San Diego from LA.
Right.
So we're kind of approaching that same mileage, if you would, so to speak. But yeah, this is very surprising that the suspect is just very content to stay on the freeway and head north on the 215, or actually the 15 rather, heading toward Vegas.
Yeah, Apple Valley area, approaching Victorville,
Appears to
and
be slowing down again, and CHP appears to be closing in just a little bit of distance. And I know we've made a lot of the sun going down and the daylight changing, but we're going to get to a period very shortly in the next few minutes where things get very dark. You're in a pretty remote mountainous region, and it's only going to get more remote from here. Does that change the calculus too, Bruce?
It just makes things more isolated. The fact that you're on a roadway, or a freeway in this case, that is void of traffic, just void of everything. To follow this person because he's on the road.
we don't have any information regarding whether this suspect is armed, but we can tell you that this suspect does have a cell phone, because we do know that this suspect did communicate with Ventura County Dispatch, the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, and it appears, identified himself. They were able to share that information with the CHP to confirm that this was indeed an attempted murder suspect. We don't know exactly if any communication has taken place after
Right.
first phone call, or if this person continued to use the phone. But we do know, and Bruce, you can speak to this a little bit, that there is technology that law enforcement has, that they are able to track cell phones, and that, I'm sure, has been helpful in this investigation.
If it's there, whether they get a warrant to do that, that's kind of where it gets a little more fishy, so to speak. You now have to track the phone via cell towers, but they're already doing that with the vehicle. Most vehicles now have the SOS systems, or, if you need help, you press a button, or OnStar, those type of things. So they've probably been in contact with the vehicle manufacturer or a Subaru type center in order to track this vehicle.
Now, we've seen this driver in just the last minute or so try and speed up and then slow down significantly. To me, that indicates that, something, maybe they're getting low on fuel, or perhaps they're losing control of the car a little bit more so. You know a lot about this. What do you think might be going on there?
All possibilities are open in this case. It could be driver fatigue too. This person's been driving for a while now. They're very intent on trying to get away from law enforcement. So they're very fixated on the roadway in front of them,
Right.
thinking, are there more spike strips out there? So they may just be tired, but it could be, to your point, with other issues.
Bruce, when you get away from the officers in all the pursuits that we cover, this is the driver not really trying away, not
Right.
going incredibly fast, not rapid behavior in the freeway. Time was successful. So at this point, it seems as though we have not seen, or maybe the car can just not go fast because it's that left tire. What do you think?
It's a positive.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is
Right.
Past the Cajon Junction, as you can see, I don't know if Air 7 can zoom out a little bit, but we're in a more populated area now, Hesperia, Victorville. You're seeing more businesses. That looks like more drivers, that traffic continuing southbound, but not northbound. Any cars out in front of it seem to be slowing. I don't know if that's a
This car's pulled
CHP.
over. No, it appears to be just some sort of civilian car to me. But again, this car just hugging the center lane, where the duration of this pursuit that began up in Ventura County sometime in the 5 o'clock hour, nearly more than 2.5 hours ago, Ventura County Sheriff's deputies tried to pull this car over and have not stopped since. that car got on the 101 freeway south, led them on a pursuit for over 100 miles now. At some point, this person inside the vehicle called Ventura County Sheriff's deputies and had an conversation. During that time, deputies were able to learn that this person is somehow wanted for an attempted murder. It appears, based on what we've been able to see, that the driver, this driver's person inside the vehicle, but we don't know that for sure because we've not been able to get good eyes inside this black Subaru SUV that they have been pursuing since before 6 o'clock tonight.
And that is something that CHP may know based on the conversation that this driver, the suspect, with law. But yeah, is continuing now in the Apple Valley of approaching Victorville area, and at this point, we don't know what traffic violation was for, but we can confirm attempted murder suspect, which is why the CHP is approaching this pursuit the way that they have. And this person, has been
driving
has
a
only
somewhat
changed
right.
freeways when they've had to.
Correct.
And that's something that I think that's been interesting about
And they've
this.
been able to evade nearly 4 spike strip attempts. And I say nearly because the last one was successful. The fourth one was successful in some capacity because we watched one of the tires on the vehicle come flying off a few minutes after that. The did might avoid it, was entirely successful, but clearly impaired their travel much because they've been traveling for good. They've picked speed back up again, now in the 40-mile-per-hour range. But for most of this pursuit, they've been traveling about 60, 65, no more than 90 miles per hour, and that was about an hour and a half ago when things were much more populated. So this driver seems very content to keep trade off and try and run out the clock. And Bruce, as mentioned to us, shape is not.
No, that's correct. They're not going to. They're going to maintain this pursuit and go as long as it goes. If it goes all the way to the state line, I'm sure they've already been in contact with Nevada authorities, Nevada Highway Patrol, to say, hey, we got a pursuit that possibly can come your way, and they will hand it over to Nevada Highway Patrol.
And so that, as far as California Highway Patrol goes, and we have to discuss this because we've been ongoing, but if it does in fact make it,
would have to travel 144 more miles to make it to Primm, Nevada.
which is surely what this person has driven at this point anyway, given that this began in Ventura County. Is that roughly what you would guess, Bruce?
Yeah, they're going to have, they will hand it off to the other agency in Nevada because they're familiar with Nevada roads and that area, whereas California CHP is not. And I thought it was California CHP where they shake hands. They do work in conjunction with Nevada Highway Patrol, so they're very familiar with each other. But yeah, they're definitely going to hand it off.
And we've just been watching this for the better part of an hour to at the point in time with you, Bruce. And like we've said, an attempted murder suspect, given the charges that are involved here, or at least the suspected charges, this has not been something that's put the greater public in a whole lot of danger on this holiday.
Things headed back to LA from Vegas or wherever they were from. But as far as northbound, it's almost non-existent.
What are you curious about? Because we have just minutes left of fuel left in Air 7, which is just remarkable that this person has been able to think of a helicopter and following them for 3 counties at this point. But what will you be wondering when we never have pursuit?
Determinants of the pursuit at the end, how it comes to fruition, and really what was this person really wanted for, and was the good information that the law enforcement agencies had on this, and basically what.
It's hard to believe that this car could make it all the way to Primm, but we've seen crazier things, and we just don't know. This Subaru has, but as Liz pointed out, this car has already. We actually don't even know the exact location within Ventura County where this originated. So we know that CHP picked it up we believe Woodland Hills area or somewhere near there on the 101 South, but we don't exactly know, how fast was at in terms of that
Right.
in the Subaru.
And Bruce, this is interesting to me. This is the first vehicle that we've come across almost the entire been following this SUV that's out in front of the vehicle that doesn't appear to be moving over.
Away.
Perhaps, and surely at this point they realize what's going on. You can hear the helicopter above you. You can see the night sun that they're using, but we also can't see CHP on this vehicle. What do you make of it, what we're seeing right now?
I'm seeing a vehicle driven by somebody that really is just not paying attention to the roadway behind them. Or I hate to say that, but with all the distractions in modern technology, and that's why you
Oh,
see the
geez.
helicopter with the night sun trying to warn them and say, "Hey, get out of the way."
And now they're
So
shifting over.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It looks
Yeah.
like. But yeah, either that driver was not aware because, of course, they're driving. So, but they didn't see the police lights in the distance behind them. And then at the same time, we've seen situations, Bruce, where other vehicles on the road try and get involved in a pursuit. I'm not saying that that is what is happening now,
Right.
but I know I've interviewed you on stories where drivers have, take others into the, I know is something HP wants to happen.
We have seen. These are all things we obviously don't want to see or ask the public to get involved. Let law enforcement job, but yeah, unfortunately, those things do happen.
But one more thing to point out, because the Victorville area, and this is the only other car on the road, one thing I notice here is this car that we've been following in pursuit all night isn't gaining any speed on that. So it gives you an idea of how slow the car is going. This SUV didn't pull out of the way, and the car didn't come anywhere close to it. So this vehicle is probably just, in the 40-mile-per-hour range like it was before. It's incredible to me, Bruce, that this car is able to maintain that it is, given, 30 minutes ago or so, that tire came flying off the vehicle.
Yeah, we saw a tire come off. It was not
We
an
sure did.
imagination.
We sure did.
And why it's not on the rim, and why it's not having mechanical issues, or seeing the sparks that we've talked about, it's kind of foreign to me. But it just maybe goes to the point of, well, these vehicles are.
We're seeing more people park overpass watching the pursuit. Finally, we are seeing that Toyota 4Runner that was about 50 feet in front of the Subaru pull off the freeway. So that's some good news, not getting involved at all in this pursuit, just deciding to exit. And once again, this Subaru has a wide open freeway, no other vehicles. I'm actually seeing, it looks like a CHP car in the distance is getting off well.
Okay.
Just unclear. Looks like that car is possibly going
Second
into conversation
Oh,
with
boy.
that. But I will say we're not seeing as many California Highway Patrol cars in pursuit the deeper we get into San Bernardino County. We at one point saw 6 to 12 cars. Right now it looks like there's only 4 or 5 that are really trailing this Subaru. What do you mean by that, Bruce?
Yeah, as you say, it's definitely been scaled back to 4 or 5. You have a primary, a secondary, a third vehicle, which is probably a supervisor, and then you have maybe 1 or 2 left over to provide traffic control and a traffic break as they have the terminus or the felony stop taking place. But it will also be resources out in that high desert area where there's not so many CH officers on duty today as it being hauled.
And I'm not, this is the same Subaru we were following before. Headlights are now back on
Yes.
on this vehicle, and very clearly we saw earlier, Bruce, that there was just one headlight on this vehicle.
And I'm not sure if you have the ability in that car to only have one of your headlights on and the other one off. We thought that it was just out, but it does
No,
look like
our director was saying it was the daytime running light that was out
Okay.
before. But regardless, there was a change in the headlight or lighting situation from the vehicle.
in
Or same
pursuit right
vehicle.
now. To tell you for quite some time, 24 miles per hour. Pursuit is now in Victorville on the 15 north, 30 miles north of Victorville, of course, is Bartow, and then another 100 miles to the California-Nevada state line.
And just to give you an idea, we noticed the small change in headlight situation. How closely we've been watching this for about 2 hours now. Car had continued through Los Angeles County into the San Gabriel Valley and picked it up 15 north. And this car, I mean, has to have been driving for probably 150 miles at this point. We don't know how much fuel was in this vehicle when this all began. This was a traffic stop that this person did not comply with in Ventura County and has not stopped ever since. We believe that the tires may have been impaired by the bike strip, one of the bike strips thrown by C or the left.
We can tell pursuit started over 2 hours ago,
Right.
possibly, we believe 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes ago. We have been on the air since 6 p.m. We're approaching the PM hour. Air 7 is low on fuel, so we'll not be able to stay with this much longer. But
Right.
just to wrap up, started as a traffic violation in Ventura County, then 101 South into LA County, then into San Bernardino County, and we are now deep into San Bernardino County. 4 spike strip attempt. That final attempt was successful. The car now on the 15 North in the Victorville area.
And this person is now well on their way to the California-Nevada state line at this point. Air 7 is going to have to break away to refuel at this point. We are going to continue monitoring this situation as quickly as we can. We'll bring you the very latest on exactly what happens and any possible conclusion to this situation later tonight on Eyewitness News at 11, along with all of the other big breaking news of the day. You have been watching this continuous coverage of police pursuit through Southern California. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Liz Nagy.
And I'm Josh Haskell. Stay with us for the latest.